welcome to another edition of It's Just Me, hosted by Brent Foxx. Tonight is probably going to be another impromptu episode. Probably not very much to go over in the way of boxing, of course. I am excited about my Pittsburgh Steelers starting their first day of training camp today, so that's primarily what I'm going to focus on. So, having said that, Najee Harris was finally able to talk to the press and answer a few questions. I kind of find it ironic that on the Steelers network, they actually edited his interview down to maybe a couple of questions, and it was just asking about the quarterbacks. and I think it was something else like, what was his expectations for the year or something like that. But nonetheless, man, the answers to the real questions were this: the reason that he was not re-signed or given his fifth-year option, he was told that they didn't know where they were, what direction they were headed into on offense, which of course is a bunch of BS. Um, and then of course, when Omar Khan was actually asked about that, he he was attempting to make it seem like he was going to keep the door open, so to speak. And what that means in plain English is like there may be room for him to sign in. Hey, salute, Coach 67. Um, there may be room for a signing or something of that nature. But if you didn't pick up his fifth-year option while it was affordable, I do not think that you're going to sign Najee to a big time extension in place of that. I do believe that this is actually going to be Najee's last year here. Having said that, and to be honest with you, I think Najee took this extremely well. He was very honest and forthright as he always is. But he also mentioned that, hey, he understands that this is a business and that wherever he is led, wherever God leads him, that's where he's actually going to end up, and he's going to work just as hard for any organization that he's with as he is now. So I think that's encouraging for him individually. Um, I am still going to be a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I am also going to be a fan of Najee Harris. I just appreciate his demeanor. His story was actually is very moving. For those that don't know Najee's story, I'll just sum it up. Basically, at one point in life, for a pretty good stretch, Najee and his family were homeless, and they lived in a shelter just outside of Oakland. And when draft time came around, he went back to that shelter to have his draft party. And it was kind of like a full circle moment. Um, but yeah, Najee is a high character guy. He'd be a great addition for any team that wants to pick him up. And not only that, he is a great asset to the team that would probably be picking him up as well. So far, he has had consecutive 1,000 yard seasons 3 times. And there are very few people that have actually done that. There are some people that seem to be quote unquote underwhelmed with his production. But to those people, I would say if it's that easy, why aren't the other 32 starting running backs doing the same thing? They're not. Um, and I think that his best ability is his availability. But I also see that when he actually runs, he runs with conviction. He actually won the Angry Man Runs of the Year award at the NFL Honors. Now, I know that's kind of like a sublet award, and it's not a major award, but it just kind of expresses the attitude and the grit and the resilience and toughness that he approaches each game with. Salute Jared 011 Green. Yeah, yeah, you're right, Coach. But I think that yeah, I think that it might be better for him, especially if he goes to an organization that really appreciate what he does. Um, Unfortunately for us, we've been spoiled with some pretty good backs for consecutive years, and then you know, as a side effect, we probably think that they're expendable. Now, staying on that same subject, Jalen Warren is a good back, but I think Jalen Warren, which is 30, is going to look like another 30 that we had previously, which was James Conner. And the two dreaded words, when healthy, will probably be a thing as far as Jalen Warren's tenure as a feature back. Now, if he's got to be the main guy, I see fumbles and I also see injuries kind of plaguing his campaign as the feature back for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I would advise Omar Khan, Mr. Rooney, and Coach Tomlin to be very careful in considering what you're going to do with Najee. I think that Najee's going to have a very productive season. I would think if he's barring any type of disastrous injury that'll have him out for a long time, I think Najee gets 1,100 or 1,200 yards easily. And I think that 10 touchdowns is not out of the question. I think that he had I think he had 7 on the ground and maybe another one in the air. But I don't think that a 10 rushing touchdown season, maybe along with 2 or 3 receiving touchdowns, is not out of the question, and a 11 or 1,200 yard season is not out of the question. An interesting fact is that if he does rush for, I think it's 1,113 yards, he'd probably be fourth on the team in rushing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, little fun fact there. I think he's down to like number 11 or something like that. But if he actually gains 1,100 yards, then approximately 1,100 yards, he goes all the way up to fourth. So that just kind of goes to show you what type of production this man does put up despite the circumstances and these critics saying that he's underwhelming. Like I keep saying, if it was that underwhelming, everybody would do it, but they're not. They're clearly not. All right. Yeah. Yeah. They would. Yeah, they would need a franchise quarterback, and either that's going to come in the form of Russell Wilson or Justin Fields. We'll have to wait and see. Um, yeah. Sometimes okay. It's a hater comment there, Jerry, but I kind of agree as far as maybe some of the business making decisions. I'm not impressed with that either. Um, but yeah, and I do get the salary cap and everything, but like they could have signed him for like 7 million and still been well under the cap if they picked up his 5th year extension, coach. So to me, that just shows that they feel like they don't need him. So I hope he does actually put up the projected yards that I was mentioning earlier, which is the 1,100 or 1,200 yard season with about 10 touchdowns, and he can write his own ticket. Anybody would be happy to sign him then, and they'll actually appreciate him more wherever else he's going. So, and who knows, man? He might. And I know that they re-signed somebody, but I wouldn't put it past the Dallas Cowboys to actually sign Najee Harris. Um, just a thought, but yeah, I just think that I think that I think that we're gonna wind up paying for not valuing Najee the way that we should. And I have gone on officially 10 minutes and 5 seconds about Najee. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on to another subject. The Also, there were some standouts the first day of camp. Russ sat out today, so Justin Fields filled in for him. They said that he looks pretty good. He actually put the ball in some pretty tight spaces and completed passes to receivers. Excuse me, very impressively. Um, so there's a little, there's a little glimmer of hope with that. But what I would probably say is, I think Justin Fields is probably going to have a really good um, preseason because he's playing against guys that are trying to make the team and just aren't as talented as the starters are. So I would look for him to actually shine in those preseason games, especially like with expanded duty. You preseason, you're probably going over you are going over the basics. So the packages are real vanilla. There's nothing spectacular about it. And I think that, if he's fundamentally sound, Justin Fields will look great out there. And yeah, that may stir up a little bit of controversy as far as the quarterback, but I think everybody with common sense knows that it's Russ's job to lose. Um, Now, having said that, I think that they will still put in packages for Justin Fields just to kind of display his talent and also, more importantly, kind of keep him involved. I think it's very important to, when you have a talent like that, to do something to keep them involved. Um, you don't want somebody like that just kind of getting sitting on the sidelines getting cold. So yeah, I think that they'll probably work him in, um, a few times game to game, kind of depending on what the situation is, of course. Um, Now, Calvin Austin has also been very impressive from in the off season, from what I've been hearing as well, and I think that's very encouraging. Given his situation, he had to sit out his first year because of a foot fracture, and then this past year, he did show some glimpses of being a playmaker, especially in the Raiders game. But unfortunately, the opportunities were very limited by, of course, bad coaching and then not so great quarterback play. Um, but he did manage to kind of reappear in the Bills game and catch a good looking touchdown. But that was pretty much the highlights of his season. He had a 75-yard bomb against the Raiders, and then that playoff game against the Buffalo Bills. He did all right, but those were the only two highlights of that particular season. So I look forward to seeing him kind of expand the brand, if you will, and put more plays together. Mm, yeah, y'all got some very valid points, man. Y'all got some very valid points. Um, I think that if running backs were just that undervalued, um, they would. I mean, they would probably do away with the position, but like you can't do that like in 11 on 11 football. You're going to you're gonna need the running game to provide something different, but more importantly, to impose your will on the other team. Like if you don't have anything to impose your will on the other team and be physical with them and physically just push them around, then that it's just not it's just not gonna work. Um, I think there's something to be said about taking a guy in front of you and then moving him against his own will, and he can't do anything about it. I think that's where the psychological part of football comes in, and I also think that that's one of the key components of being able to win a football game just by dominating the line of scrimmage, and then also having a person that can actually carry the ball, that can break the will of the defense, to be quite honest with you. I know that sounds kind of harsh, uh, for listeners who are casually like football fans, but you have to have a guy back there that kind of complements the offensive line and what they're doing, because the offensive line's job is to make sure that they dominate the man that's actually in front of him, or dominate the man in the space that they're moving in case they're zone blocking. But you dominate that man that's in your face, and you push him back against his will. You have to have a running back that kind of helps finish that job by breaking tackles or being so elusive that it frustrates the defense and they make mistakes and then it costs them big. Either one of those two definitely works. If you got a guy in the backfield that can provide vicious body shots, um, then eventually, once those body shots, and I'm using boxing analogies, of course, once those body shots kind of cave in, you're unable to move, and then your head is fair game, and that's what gets you knocked out. So to kind of keep that in football context, you need a guy that can actually help finish games for you, and it's not. And to be quite honest with you, if you're sitting back passing all the time, there is a very good chance that you could turn the ball over, and you definitely don't want that. Um, I could go on and on about how important the running game is, and to me, how artistic it is for for a group of guys to actually be moving in in harmony, not in harmony, excuse me, in unity, um, to achieve a common goal, and just basically just to bust up and break the will of the other guys in front of you, and you can see that look in their eyes, and they know that they know what's actually coming, but that look in their eyes knows that kind of concedes to the fact that they can't do anything about it. Um, to me, I know it sounds very savage and very aggressive or mean or whatever, but I like that. I like that. You being able to take you being able to take a man, an able-bodied man, and you break his will, and you are pretty much able to just kind of execute what you set out to do. Uh, there's rarely another satisfying feeling than that. That's why I enjoy football. That is why I actually enjoy boxing. Um, you taking an able-bodied competitor, and some of which are probably supposed to be stronger or faster, or maybe even both on some occasions than you. But you are able to be clever enough and resourceful enough to come up with a plan to impose your will on that particular person, and it works. Yeah, there's rare. It's a rare occasion where you're more satisfied than that. Now I will say, now not to sound dirty, we're already like 18 minutes in, but to be honest with you, um, it's almost as good as stroking. It's almost as good as stroking. Yeah, yeah, I will say that. Like, there's a very good, you get a very good feeling about making love to a beautiful woman. For me, because I'm a heterosexual guy. Um, your preference is your preference, internet people. Just keep the wild stuff to yourself. But for me, being able to being able to satisfy a very beautiful woman, that's actually very satisfying to me as well. So it's up there. Okay, is what I say. But not to get off too much of the subject. Um, Again, just being able to compete and then dominate your competition is what I'm basically in it for, man. I enjoy it. Um, Also, I think that we have a guy, Keanu Benton, that I think that people should be on the lookout for. I think he plays like a five technique because of the way we're set up. Um, but he came on later on in the season, and I think that that's gonna continue on into the season, barring any type of significant injury. We also have a backup by the name of Nick Herbig that has shown up and been able to cause turnovers, especially like in the Chargers game that he participated in. He got a sack and he got, I think he got a strip sack and fumble, and the ball got turned over, and he did an excellent job in that particular game filling in. So I would look out for those two guys. Of course, um, a key free agency signing was really what's my man's name? The other safety. It was Deshaun Elliott. That's who it is. Deshaun Elliott. Used to play for the Ravens. They used to play for JB's and Jared's Ravens, and then he played, I think, with Detroit, and now he's coming over to us to try to help provide safety help to allow Minka to be kind of freed up and do what he does as far as just kind of scouring the middle of the field, and then hopefully getting turnovers and making plays in the defensive backfield. So I kind of look forward to that. I really do hope that Mr. Elliott stays healthy, because if he does, then I think Minka is gonna do really well, really well. So yeah, there's a lot of optimism when training camp hits. It's football. You get a little, of course, you get excited about the possibilities of what your team can do, and then when a regular season comes, reality hit. So, for now, I'm just gonna remain optimistic about my team, but I'm also gonna try to be realistic about it too. I think that if we're able to kind of cut the turnovers down on offense and just be able to consistently move the ball, like if we're able to consistently move the ball, I think that we'll be all right. Um, Even if we're like in the middle of the pack and possibly score maybe 20 to 23 points, I think that it will make a significant swing in our season. Y'all, give me just a few seconds. Yeah. Okay. So as mentioned, real life, real life situations. Sorry about that, y'all. I hope I wasn't too long. Um, but as I was mentioning, even if we're in the middle of a pack on offense and we're able to score or average, excuse me, 20 to 23 points, which is not very much from what we were averaging, which was like I think 17.8 or 17.9 or something like that. Even if we're able to go up 3 to maybe 4 or 5 points, um, then it makes a significant difference. And I do think that we could win at least two more games, making us probably what, 12-5, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so I think that if we're able to just try to keep the turnovers down and then just manage to keep the points up, then we should be all right. I believe with Arthur Smith's system and then the personnel that we actually have, that can happen. It can definitely happen. And I think even with lesser talent in a very tough division like the I'm sorry, AFC North, then I think our chances of actually getting another playoff berth are pretty good. So, again, that optimism, that optimism for a pretty good season is is really setting in, especially right about now. Um, but yeah. Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. He does need to stay healthy, like I was mentioning before. If he stay healthy, then yeah, I think Minka will do all right. And it ain't gonna be good for y'all when it's y'all's turn, Jared. But I think that if he does, if Deshaun Elliott stays healthy, we'll do really good. Um, but yeah, man, I actually enjoyed this one, guys. I appreciate y'all coming in, my brothers Jared O11 Green and Coach 67. As a matter of fact, before I leave, I highly recommend you check out my brother Jared O11 Green show. It is Southern. It is the Southern Baller Show. It's uh, it's on YouTube. Most of the time, it's gonna be on Sundays at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard. And my brother, Coach 67 Sports TV, he has a coach. Um, he has a show just called kind of like Coach's Notes, I believe, or Coach. Um, and that usually comes on around, I think it's 2 p.m. Central Standard, if I'm not mistaken. And that's on Saturdays. Okay, I think he's on all social media platforms, but I watch him on YouTube. He has very good insight. There's not anybody better as far as covering Southern University athletics as a whole. And if you want to talk Southern University football, that is the person that you actually go to without hesitation. Okay. I also got some other brothers that y'all might want to check out. I am Trill Will. He comes on YouTube almost every day. Um, and he'll come on at random times. So if you check out his content, you might just want to hit your notifications button. Um, and if YouTube cooperates, they'll let you know when he's on. We also have my brother Cadillac Red. He does his series, BSing on the Beltway. That usually comes on Mondays and Fridays now. Um, the time I think has actually changed to 7 p.m. Central Standard. Mondays and Fridays. Wednesdays he has a show called Views from the Lat. That usually comes on around 6:30 or 7 p.m. Central Standard. That's also on YouTube. Great content, very entertaining. So yeah, y'all please check that out. And of course, the general you definitely want to check out the general. He usually comes on YouTube probably around 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. Most weekdays. He does do specials after fights, like a post-fight reaction videos, things of that nature. It is highly entertaining, and of course, the legendary General. 78 Sports TV. I mean, y'all, I don't really have to say too much about that. He is the founder of the LDBC family slash movement. And, for those of y'all that are actually headed up to it, that are heading to Atlanta, man, y'all are going to have a great time. Y'all are really going to have a great time. Well, speaking of time, I think that is my time, y'all. Thanks so much again for checking out this content. And I will be back next Thursday, God willing. Oh, whoa, wait a minute. No, I won't. I will not be on next Thursday because I will be celebrating my anniversary with my wife. So there is not going to be a show on Thursday, on next Thursday. I'm going to be incognito, y'all. I'm going to be incognito. So, hey, no show on Thursday, all right? I'll probably do maybe a short or something like that. But yeah, no show on Thursday. But all right, y'all, I'm finna get out of here before it hit 30 minutes. Until the next time I see y'all, yeah, peace and love. Hope I didn't steal that from you, Coach 67. I'm sorry. All right.